Well, hello again. It has been some time, guys. Actually, I want to cut to and see when was the actual last upload date. When was the last upload date that we made our last video? Because I feel like it was well over a year ago. We packed our stuff, we sold our house, we made our first video before we left Canada. Then we got here to Costa Rica. We managed to get one video posted, and then we were just like radio silence. I want to shout out to a few of our commenters because they were like, hey, Unstalled Life, you stalled, where are you guys at? I'm really sorry. But what we did not take into consideration was how crazy it was gonna be to transition from a Canadian life with a family of 5 to a Costa Rica life with a family of 5. Okay, so thanks for sticking around. If you're new to the page, maybe go watch those other 2 videos. And today we're going to talk about our entire transition phase, okay? So first, I would like to say that I think there was a very real reason that we didn't get to make these videos right away. I think that we needed to wait that time. It was like the universe was telling us, it's not time. You're not ready to make these videos because you're still very new and you have no idea what's going on. And now that we have over a year and a half of living here in Costa Rica, which was not even our intention. Remember, we did come here to be here for 3 months, wait out the winter.
You liar!
And, basically what happened is it just kept going, whoa, maybe another month, maybe one more month, oh, maybe one more month. And here we are, a year and a half later, right? So today we're gonna talk about the transition phase. Let's do it. All right, so where do we start? I actually made notes so that I do not forget any of the juicy details because like I said, it's been some time, okay? But I know people are very curious as to just how it went. We're far from being the only family that was looking to leave somewhere in North America and move, maybe not necessarily Costa Rica, although Costa Rica seems very popular, but somewhere down here in Central America, or maybe somewhere else in the world. Because even if you're moving from your home country, wherever it was, because there's people from all over the world here, to a different country, a lot of these things will kind of apply. It's a huge transition. It's giant, okay? So as I said in the beginning of the video, I don't think that we were ready to make this video before. I think that at the beginning, we were trying so hard and kind of we had those rose-colored glasses on where it's new and everything is wonderful. Even if it's not wonderful, you just think and feel like it's wonderful. Everything is wonderful, even if it's not wonderful. And I think that we would have wanted to show only the good. But now we're here, I'm gonna give you the real, raw, all of the juicy details on this channel, on this page, and starting with this video, okay? So, very first thing that I wanna talk about is driving and the roads in Costa Rica. So, I talked about this a little bit in our last video, but specifically, driving takes a little bit longer here. There's traffic, there's construction, and the roads are just not the quality that they are in North America. So meaning sometimes that's actually the quality of the road, not a paved road, a dirt road, but not just a dirt road, okay? Not like the nicely manicured dirt roads from the town that I'm from in Canada. I'm talking about a dirt road that has potholes that send your truck flying up and down and all over the place and everybody's flying around the back seat at all times. That's the kind of dirt road that I'm talking about. It's really hard to describe this to you unless you've actually physically been sitting in the truck and experienced it, because we live on one of those dirt roads. It's a short one, but man, you gotta take that road pretty slow, okay? Or you feel like your truck's gonna fall apart. These are not in all towns, okay? I also wanna make that very clear. I talk a lot about the town that I live in, which is a smaller town. It's a little bit touristy, meaning there's new faces a lot, but it's not there is no big hotels, there's no big stores, there's no department stores really. It's still very small townish here, okay? So other locations in Costa Rica are different than this location, for sure. There are big cities, there are places that operate very differently than here. So keep that in mind when you're listening, okay? So Day 2, after our big travel day, which again, I talked about in our last video, day 2, the next morning, we wake up, I'm like searching around in my stuff, looking for my bathing suit bottoms, and I was stung by a scorpion on day 2, okay? Only I didn't know that it was a scorpion because my hands were literally in my suitcase searching around, you know, for my bathing suit bottoms, and something got me. I pulled my fingers out, I pulled my hand out, and I was bleeding just a little bit, and I'm like running around. I'm generally pretty calm when it comes to these things, but I'm like running around like a crazy person. Rob's in the pool with 3 kids. Okay, this is our second morning in Costa Rica. This is our first morning waking up in this particular house where we are. And he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, something bit me, I don't know what it was.
Panic!
Because I didn't know if this was, like, was it a snake? Was it a scorpion? Was it something that I don't even know what it is? And so I remember I like pulled the suitcase out to the front porch, and I used like one of those like long barbecue fork metal things, you know? And I was like throwing all of my clothes all over the place, like throwing the underwear, throwing my clothes, until I found this. This scorpion was hiding on my beautiful pair of leggings, and I obviously scared him and got into his space, and he stung me. So, you know, one of the things that we actually read a few different times before we came to Costa Rica was, do not leave your suitcases on the floor open at night because scorpions like to crawl in. But you see, that night, okay, day before was our longest travel day in Costa Rica. We did 10 hours of driving with 3 kids through mountains. It was wild. So
I'll turn this damn bus around.
by the time we got back to that house, it was very late. It was way past everybody's bedtime. I opened all of the suitcases on the floor. I found the baby monitor. I found the soother. I found the bottle. I found pajamas, and we went to bed. I did not care. I was not thinking about what we had been told. So really, this was my own fault. And what made it funnier was that my landlord actually lived in the house right in front of us. And I texted her, you know, because I was like, I don't know the number. Like, do you call 911 here? Am I poisoned? Are these poisonous here? Where is the hospital? These are all questions I had no answers to. This is tip number 1 for you guys, if you will. Maybe find that out before you go to a town. Like, who do you call in case of emergency? Because I had no idea, okay? This is the thing about being a couple at the age of 32, I guess 33 when we got here. Neither of us had done very much traveling. Our parents had done not very much traveling, so we just really had no idea what we were doing. We had really not traveled with our kids, and so we just didn't know what we were doing. So it's good to know, right? It's good to know. Scorpions in Costa Rica are not generally lethal to humans. They have venom. So yes, my arm went numb up to about here, and like not numb, like tingly. And as that subsided, for the rest of the whole day, my lips were tingling. Just my lips though, like nothing else, just my lips were tingling. So after I figured out, you know, I'm not dying and it was a scorpion and like, it's fine. Now I have this cool story. All I could think was like, don't tell my dad. I'll never forget that. I was like, don't tell my dad, don't tell my dad. Nobody tell my dad. Because of course one of the first things he said when I told him, you know, our family and his 3 grandkids were going to Costa Rica in Central America, he was like, named off all the snakes and all the things and all of the things that could bite you or get you or in the ocean or whatever, right?
You will die.
So I did eventually tell my dad, but I think I waited a few months on that one. Okay, so let's talk about it being hot because yeah, you know what? I think you come here expecting it, obviously to be hot. We left Canada in December and came to Costa Rica. It was so hot.
It's so damn hot.
That is the high season and it is crazy hot, okay? But what you might not know is that not everybody's body will acclimatize in the same way. I love the heat. My husband's body, not so much. He did get heat rash, which presented as like hives over his torso, which lasted 1 to 2 weeks. And actually it did go away. he did what we thought, acclimatize to Costa Rica, but it actually did come back this year. And it lasted a little bit longer. It actually lasted 3 to 4 weeks. And we found that it was right when the humidity of the little rainy season here hit, that came back for him. So whereas we thought, okay, he got here, he got the heat rash, thankfully it went away and he acclimatized, it did come back, okay? So this is something, again, that you just need to be aware of. Not everybody is going to tolerate the heat in the same way. So important to have the option for air conditioning, et cetera, and to just know that this might be something that you're faced with. You have no idea how different things are in other parts of the world where the climates are different. Actually, on that note, there are skin bacteria and skin funguses here that we'd never even really heard about, or that at the very least I can say are not anywhere near as prevalent as they are in Canada as they are here because of the dang heat and because you're playing in the rivers and you're playing in all the things. So this is not to be scary. This is just to be mindful, because you just need to know what creams to have on hand, how to handle every such thing. At the beginning, we found it very frustrating. We were like, oh my God, like what's this now on Ebony's leg? Or, oh, what's this now on Rob's nose? And we had no idea what we were dealing with. And it felt like we were constantly, chronically looking and searching and learning. But now we see something, we catch it, and we know exactly what it is, and it's a quick treatment, and it really just doesn't feel like really anything, mentally and emotionally. It just kind of became a way of life. Just like, you check your shoes before you put them on in the morning to make sure that there's no scorpions. I remember at the beginning, I was like, you mean I have to check my shoes every day? But it just becomes a way of living. Just as there are other things in Canada that become your way of living, scraping off your whole car of snow every morning when it's at 5 a.m. before you go to work. Now I gotta check my shoes for some scorpions, And that depends. It will very, 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 very much depend, the scorpions I mean, and just critters in general, where you're living, okay? Both the town, because the different climates bring different critters, and the time of year, and your particular house. We have lived in 11, I think, different houses here in this town. Some more so out of town in the jungle. We've lived in a few apartments, condominiums, and we've lived in a few houses that are right here in the center of town that are all new developments and in, new construction. And so each one of these houses had more or less of different critters. It just depended where we were, okay? So I can't tell you like, oh, you're not gonna see any scorpions, or yeah, you're gonna have 10 scorpions in your house, because one of my houses, we had like 6, and multiple of the other places we've lived, there's been 0. I feel like we've had 0 scorpions in this house. Have we had 0? No, we had one little baby. We had one little tiny baby. And somebody said to me, where there's a baby, there's more babies. But guys, I haven't seen any more babies. So this is good news. This is good news. And actually, I forgot to say before, when I got stung and I talked to my landlord, she said to me, I've lived here for 10 years and I've never been stung by a scorpion.
Yeah, right.
It was totally like one of those fluke situations. I kind of called it like an initiation almost. But just so you know, it really is hit or miss, okay? Okay, so what's next? We booked a house that was way farther out of town than we thought it was, okay? So on a map, when I'm looking, I'm over in Canada and I'm looking on Google Maps and I'm, what am I trying to say? Zooming in. I'm zooming in and I'm trying to, in my mind, I guess my perception was not as good as I thought it was, because I didn't think it was that far from town or from the beach. Okay. And I forget how many kilometers it was from A to B, but I remember thinking, oh, that's doable. My kids, we bike and we walk and it's fine. Guys, it's so hot. No, you cannot walk to the beach with your children. It is too hot. Not from that length anyways, okay? So we get to this house. We're in the middle of Costa Rica. We have our 3 kids. I've been stung by a scorpion. And we have no car. We have no bike. We don't know anybody. We do not know the number to any cabs. Like, are cabs even a thing here? Is there an Uber? Like, we have no idea. Again, could be something to look into before you go somewhere. Like, actually, So I remember our landlord did let us borrow her bike at one point. We were having a really hard time renting a car because the particular credit card that we chose to bring wasn't accepted by the car rental place, of course. And so we ended up using a bike for a little bit. Rob walked to town once and like just came back literally drenched in sweat. And then not too long after that, I remember us saying, okay, you know what? There's a guy in town that rents out golf carts. So we're gonna try having a golf cart for a little bit. And I remember us being like super, super frugal, right? We were like, okay, like we're only going to have this golf cart like one day a week for groceries. Like that's what we're gonna do. That's how we're gonna solve this problem. We're gonna have this golf cart for one day a week. Yeah, it wasn't very long before we just had the golf cart for like a week at a time or more, because anytime you wanted to leave your house to do anything, we were on the back road out of town. You wanted to go to the beach, you needed the golf cart. You wanted to go in for ice cream, you needed the golf cart. So again, we were spending quite a bit of money, like too much money on this golf cart situation, but taxis here were a little bit dicey. It wasn't really taxis. It's just like you get the number of a guy who has a car and drives people places. And sometimes, you know, it's very pure vita time. Like, you know, sometimes they show up right away. Sometimes they show up in like 3 hours. And so we just had the golf cart. We had the golf cart. We were solving problems left, right, and center. We were doing good, right? Let's talk about going to the grocery store. Okay, so imagine yourself going to the grocery store. This looks like a pretty easy process for you because it's the same grocery store that pretty much, it's the same grocery store that your parents have gone to and that their grandparents gone to and so on and so forth. Everybody goes to the same grocery store. We kind of know that all the produce is gonna be here and like all of your favorite freezer meals are gonna be there and your mixed berries, frozen berries, and just all the things are gonna be right there for you. Because that's the way it's always been your whole life growing up. And you've gone into maybe multiple chains of grocery stores, Food Basics and Sobeys and Zayres and all the places, depending on where you're from. It's all generally the same. You walk into the grocery store here. And of course, we were not comfortable yet leaving the house alone. Like I didn't want to go to the grocery store by myself. So it was me, Rob, and 3 kids in a grocery store, which I never even did back home because that's a nightmare. And so we're all in there. There's no air conditioning. There's not even a front door. Like it's just a garage door that opens. Okay. So it's all the same temperature as outside is inside, you know? So for example, like any chocolate in this store has to be kept in the fridge. Like all of the meltable stuff actually has to be refrigerated because it's hot here and they're not going to pay for air conditioning of this giant warehouse grocery store, right? So we're in there. Everybody's fully masked still at this point, okay? Because we're still like just fresh. We're still quite in COVID. This was December 2020, right? So we're in there, 3 kids, sweating to death. And we have allergies in the house. So I am one of those moms who's like meticulously reading through labels at all times. So imagine walking into this grocery store. Nothing looks anything like what you've ever seen in your entire life. The rows are all different. Where things are located are all different. Everything is written in a language that you cannot read.
Can't read.
We did no Spanish lessons before we came here. Tip number 2, I don't even know what tip we're on right now. Please learn as much Spanish as you can, or the language that you are, of the country that you are going to, not only for your own ease, but it is respectful. You know, I think it's really, like so many things would have been easier if we just even had like a base knowledge of Spanish. You don't need to be fluent, but we knew 0. I knew how to say hola. I knew how to say hola, guys, and gracias, okay? Now, we're getting there. I wish we knew more. Like, just end of the story is please learn Spanish, okay? I really wish Canada taught Spanish. Okay, side note. So we're in the grocery store, we're sweating. Anyways, we get a good load of groceries. We're like packed on this grocery cart. We've got like a box of diapers, we've got watermelons. We have a 1-year-old with us who doesn't believe in sitting down on a golf cart. So you have to like hold him in and brace with your life. And all the kids are like holding groceries on the golf cart. So yeah, I mean, it was quite an experience, okay? To anybody else looking, it probably looked like, and maybe even sounds like, a total gong show, okay? Total. But it was it was kind of fun. We were laughing at it at the time. Like, we were able to be in the moment and just be like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? But we got home, and I remember, I don't know if it was this particular day, but I do remember just being like super grateful. You know, we figured it out together as a family, as a team. We figured it out how to get the golf cart. We figured it out at the grocery store. We got the food. We came home, and I remember making like one of our first like good meals. I made us homemade guacamole, like a big batch of guac with these chips that I love to this day here, and fresh pineapple smoothie, or like, it wasn't even a smoothie, it was just pineapple, because we had the oldest blender ever known to mankind, guys. If you're coming for any length of time, bring your blender. Somebody told me to bring my blender and I ignored them. Number one thing, bring your blender. I'm not kidding. So anyways, we had this beautiful guacamole meal, and I just remember being like so incredibly thankful. Like, we figured it out. We got here. We got to Costa Rica. We did this. We got to this house. We figured out the transportation. We figured out the grocery store. And that in itself really was like a really big, beautiful thing. I've got to say, that was fun. So just as we are starting to feel like we have got this under control, we are feeling good, we are starting to learn a little bit of Spanish, we're feeling confident about going to the grocery store, we know where all the stores are, we know where to go to get the good produce, because, you know, the grocery store that we entered in the first time, that was like the main grocery store, they don't actually have the fresh produce. I remember walking in and being like, whoa, like, I thought I was in Costa Rica. I thought this was all the fresh fruits and vegetables of all of my dreams and desires. You gotta go to the fruit stand. You gotta go to the little fruit stands, and there's many of them, and that's where you get the fresh produce. And again, these are just the little things that you have to learn as you go, and feel very daunting at the beginning, but as you learn them, you're like, all right, I feel good. I got this. We got our golf cart. We know how to make our food. We know, you know, we're learning. And just as we were starting to feel good, bam, something terrible happened. We were robbed.